Hello everyone, welcome back to Pixplays Minecraft. This is episode 17 and we're going to be remodeling the brewery today. I've already made a start on this, as you can see. I've pulled the door out a little way and created a new kind of entrance way for it, and I think this looks pretty cool. I kind of like the design. Basically, what I want to do is make this look like some of the other buildings in Ramsfell. It kind of has a theme going on throughout most of the town where we've got these spruce wood pillars and the kind of stair design around the outside, and that happens over here. I guess the stairs are mostly at the bottom, but it happens on the storage building, happens on the enchanter's house over there, but wasn't anywhere in the brewery. The brewery has these frankly kind of weird glass pillars on each of the corner, and those just don't look so great. I mean, I like the design of the brewing modules. That is definitely going to stay because that's kind of a cool use of stained glass, I think, and it adds to them looking like potion bottles, which was the original idea behind those. But for the brewery building itself, I don't think that's really in keeping with the theme of the rest of the town, and just these stained glass windows are appalling. They just don't look very great. I kind of want to make the brewery feel a little bit more like it's a typical quaint like town pub, I guess, like a bar or something like the Blaze Rod on DV, where it's got like bar stools and there's a little area you can sit down as if you go in there to socialize and meet people instead of just as a place where I store my potions. So aiming for something that's a little bit more strongly thematic and doesn't just involve lining chests up against the wall and having open floor space. Now I'm a little bit more into putting detail into builds, and obviously, as I was saying last time, my building style has come quite a long way since I started playing Minecraft, especially on PC, that I feel like I have a few more touches I can add to this that make it have bags more character. So yeah, I want to start off by saying thanks to everybody who commented on the last video, because I don't have many subscribers, I don't get a whole lot of views, I'm a pretty small channel, a fairly small content creator, if you want to call me that. But yeah, it's incredible when I get such in-depth comments and like contact from the people I do have. For a start, it's very kind of affirming in terms of, yes, you're doing a good job, this is the kind of stuff we want to hear. But it's also really neat to see people engaging with the discussion topic I've chosen, and that's definitely kind of solidified my idea of what I want to do with this series, is talk a little bit more about kind of the craft of YouTube, I guess, the craft of making videos like this. So I'm going to try and build and talk at the same time, which is something else I said I wanted to work on. So there we go, that's coming out nicely there. This is going to be a little bit of trial and error, so I'm going to tear down a few things and rebuild them a couple of times just to get things looking the way I want them. So yeah, most of the people in the comments of the last video agreed that when a YouTube Minecrafter says we, or like when any kind of Let's Player says we, when they're making a video, they're talking about like them and the audience, and it's kind of a way people said of like helping them feel involved with what's going on screen. And B-Ran had this really great kind of analogy, which was that when you're watching a Let's Play series, it's kind of like when you're sitting at home when you're younger and a friend is round and one of you is playing video games and the other one is just watching. It's like a shared experience like that, but because, you know, the internet has allowed communication to reach this far, it's basically a way of playing video games in the room with a complete stranger, but somebody who you find quite entertaining. So that's kind of a neat way of looking at things, and it's not something I'd previously considered in my definition of what a Let's Play is, so that gave me a lot to think about. People said that like using we in YouTube commentary, as long as it doesn't feel forced, is a totally fine thing to do, and is not something that they feel like necessarily stood out to them. It's not a reason to actively watch somebody or stop watching them. So that's good, because yeah, I kind of vary my approach to it. I seem to be using both most of the time. Like I sometimes say I, and then sometimes I'll say we. Like I've just recorded a few more videos in which I use we quite a lot, and it kind of came off the back of the comments on that, where people were saying, you know, it doesn't really matter as long as you're just being yourself. So that's kind of cool. The comments also, I didn't mean to talk about the roleplay aspects of the Minecraft stuff I've been doing so much, but a lot of people had something to say about that, and they thought RP is more of a spectrum than I had originally kind of given it credit for. Like, I kind of talked about it as if it was like an on again, off again kind of thing. Like, you can switch on the RP stuff and you are just purely doing RP. Like, there's no other kind of focus to it. You're just creating a storyline, and then there's the opposite of that where you just don't do any RP whatsoever. And people have helped me look at that as kind of like a spectrum of possibilities. Like, you can have like light RP where you're just kind of dipping in and out of stuff like that, and you can create lore for a place, if not roleplay. And I think that's kind of what Ramsfell has in a way, is like every building kind of has a purpose. And like I was saying about this brewery, I want to make it look more like a meeting house for people, like a kind of typical town pub. And of course it doesn't have to look that way because there are no actual people around here aside from me, but it just adds to the atmosphere of things. And that is really what I'm into, I think, is adding atmosphere to stuff, making stuff feel like it is lived in. And that in itself is a kind of RP, because I guess all Minecraft is kind of like constructed reality, I suppose. Seems like the best way of identifying it. So yeah, that was really great to get everyone's feedback on that. I was really enjoying responding to all the comments and stuff, and I really want to keep that kind of thing going. So yeah, we have another topic of discussion for this video, and the number of comments and the engagement with the comments kind of got me thinking about why I'm doing YouTube in the first place. Like, this is something I go back and forth on quite a lot, and have obviously spent a decent amount of time thinking about, because it is a difficult time to start making YouTube videos. You have so many successful YouTubers out there that people could otherwise watch, and so you have to kind of seriously consider whether it's worth you doing what you're doing, whether you kind of have a specific style you want to go for, whether your channel is going to be focused on growth or if you're just doing it for fun. And again, this is like a sliding scale. This is one of those things that can happen on a spectrum, so it doesn't necessarily have to be all about one or the other. But I've always been... My approach has always been favouring like personal enjoyment over like channel growth and stuff like that. And I've been talking to the other DV members about this, and some of them, their focus is on growth, and that's totally fine. That's like an approach that you can take, and you know, fair play to you kind of thing. But I'm kind of treating this more as like a hobby than a profession, I suppose. And yeah, it can... Let's grab some of this cracked stone as well, and maybe we'll just bring the slabs along just in case. But yeah, I'm definitely treating this more as a hobby than aspiring to it as a profession, because it's so easy to look at professional YouTube players, kind of people like, you know, Stampy for one, if you're looking at someone who's been really successful with Minecraft stuff. Yeah, you look at people like BOO, you look at, you know, any of the Minecraft group for the Minecraft side of things, or you look at, obviously the example is going to be PewDiePie or somebody like that, and, you know, it's so easy to aspire to something like that and think, yeah, I could do that. What have they got that I don't? And the answer right now is several million more subscribers. But I prefer the kind of organic, like, word of mouth growth when it comes to, you know, bringing subscribers into the channel. I much prefer that over kind of quick fix stuff where it feels kind of engineered. And I don't know if any of you guys watch Olan Rogers, but he's a sketch guy. He does like a ton of like humor video, like comedy videos and stuff. I'm trying to work out how to get this pillar working. I think it's probably going to be a case of doing what I've done with the other ones here and have it go in like that. Yeah, that feels right. I think that feels pretty good. It's just how to get this space filled in without it seeming like the supports for the pillar are being overshadowed by everything else, you know? So something like that, maybe? Alright, I'll see what I can do with that later. I did want to expand the cellar down here as well, because I hollowed this out and thought that just doesn't look like a storage cellar. It needs to be wider, so that was kind of part of the reason for expanding the brewery in the first place. But anyway, I was saying, Olan Rogers has a great video recently. There was actually a response to a video by Crabsticks, who's another kind of YouTube comedy sketch guy. And you may have seen some of their videos before. They're both very, very talented, very funny people. But I guess they were talking about the way some channels kind of copycat off of each other, and none of their growth tends to be particularly natural. A lot of the stuff they do tends to be like cinnamon challenge and those kind of videos. You know, the ones where, you know, it's basically like a bandwagon kind of thing. People know it gets views and they just jump all over it. They just immediately want to produce the same content as other people. And I kind of like, you know, the side of things that makes things more authentic is kind of doing your own thing. And I really dislike it when people, and particularly, I guess, companies, try to engineer virality. This is something that I occasionally have a bit of a rant about. I mean, it's like when people come up with something that they call a viral marketing campaign before it's even happened, like before they know it's going to be successful, they will call something a viral... I'm taking a step back and having a look at this from a distance, and I'm liking the look of it a little bit more. We're going to have to do something about the texture of the outside. But yeah, those pillars do look a lot more like what I've got in the other buildings. I don't want it to look too much like the storage facility either, because I think I might rework some of that, but it's definitely looking like very grey and brown right now, so we'll see what we can do about freshening up the look a little bit later. Might do some of that off camera and just tinker around. But anyway, what I was saying was, I don't like it when people try and make something viral before they actually know how successful it's been in terms of marketing, because sometimes you just can't predict that kind of stuff, and there are definitely kind of like formulae out there that help people get a bunch of views on stuff really, really quickly. But I feel like virality is one of those things that comes entirely from whether or not the audience wants to give their time to something. And I don't like being almost forced, I suppose, to give my time to something if it's not something that I'm into. And it's kind of like, you know, when films get called blockbuster films before they've even been released. Like a blockbuster, I think, used to mean, you know, it smashed box office records, you know, it's done really well, it has taken in a huge gross on its opening weekend, that kind of thing. Whereas now, you tend to get films called blockbusters just because they have a big budget, not because they've taken in a whole bunch of money and like made the studio successful and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's like calling a book a bestseller before it's even hit the shelves. It's one of those weird kind of things that happens now and is kind of like a kind of established marketing term, but just doesn't feel particularly genuine. And that's those kind of videos, I think, is when somebody, in terms of like video game channels like this one, because I guess I am a video game channel now, it's like when everyone suddenly starts playing on a game, like, you know, you'll have like a playthrough of something new like Starbound or some new kind of indie game, or like the Oculus Rift comes out and suddenly everyone under the sun is doing videos on it if they can get their hands on it. And yeah, something about that just doesn't quite feel right to me, and I feel like people should be, you know, making the content they want to make instead of the content that gets them the most hits. And obviously if this is your career, then that's a little bit more of a concern for you. So I can appreciate that for some people they really want to make sure they're getting the money through the door, and I suppose I can't really take too much of an issue with that, especially when they are more genuine people, because there are definitely people out there who feel like they have a lot more of a genuine approach, but there are definitely also people whose approach feels a little bit artificial. So yeah, I kind of wonder what you guys think about that. So let me know in the comments what you think and what attracts you to a channel in terms of its content, in terms of the kind of stuff they put out. Do you go for people who work a little bit off the beaten track? Do you just look for somebody whose material you like, whose commentary you like, that kind of thing? It would be really interesting to hear from you guys on that score. And on that note, in terms of putting out new content for this channel and kind of expanding my output, which is something I've been talking about doing recently, I'm going to try some spruce wood slabs in here. That's not the big announcement. Big announcement is I'm starting a playthrough of Portal, the first Portal game, and probably the second one as well, mainly because I had them left over on my Steam account from absolutely ages ago. I explained this in the videos, but I used to live with Kane, Kane83, who you've seen here on my channel before on Decidedly Vanilla. Yeah, I used to live with him because he is my brother-in-law. And when Portal 2 came out, there was a deal on the Steam store where you could get Portal 1 and 2 in a bundle, and you could get like a buy one, get one free deal. So he got that for both of us, but my computer, my laptop at the time, does not have enough graphics juice to run it. So I played it all on his laptop anyway. He had a MacBook Pro, which had a decent enough graphics component to play. But I had this copy of Portal and Portal 2 just sitting around in my Steam account from ages ago, and now I have this computer built together. I'm still running Linux, but some of the Steam games do run on Linux. So I decided to give that a go and play it for my channel. And Portal is not one of those games that is going to be getting everybody in the door, because you've probably already seen it. Like, Portal has been played by everybody under the sun on YouTube, so I kind of wanted to emphasize that I'm not doing this for like channel views, because goodness knows I'm not going to get it with a game as old as Portal, but I'm doing this kind of for my own personal enjoyment, and if people want to watch me play a game like Portal, then they absolutely can, and that's going up on my channel Tuesdays and Thursdays each week, starting this Tuesday. So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on whether you like the series, like if you're planning on watching it, that kind of thing, because obviously, while it is nice to be doing stuff for my own enjoyment, it's also kind of cool to see what your audience thinks. I'm liking the pattern of these. As long as it's a symmetrical pattern, I think it could look kind of cool. I'm thinking about maybe bringing the level down here as well, so the floor steps down a little bit, because no pub has an even floor, especially not in the UK. There's definitely a lot of pubs that kind of have like a sloping kind of thing, or a downstairs sort of area. I'm going to set up a bar in here, have potions, maybe expand a row of chests to include all of the potions and stuff, and then just give this build a little bit more character. Obviously, it's going to have some kind of canopy roof over here. I'm thinking about maybe having a peaked roof out the front. But yeah, it's a time of change around here. I've got a couple of new series running. I'm bringing this back. I've got Portal. I've got Decidedly Neapolitan. There is a lot of stuff to be getting on with. And I'm going to have a lot of free time coming up fairly soon, so looking forward to recording a bunch of that stuff. So yeah, would love to hear from you guys again. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. I know I've talked a little bit about asking for likes and stuff, but I do think it's something I can do as long as you guys aren't too bothered by it. So yeah, just stumbling over my words now. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and hope you guys will have some input in the comments. The next stuff I'm going to be doing on this series, I have a little to-do list now. It's my town notices. Brewery is under reconstruction. I'm restocking the sugarcane plot, which is actually growing quite well now. But yeah, I was completely out of sugarcane here before, and I need a bunch more sugarcane and paper, and it's going to be something that's always going to be in need of supply. So I have no idea why I took this whole thing down in the first place. I think it might have been for Christmas. So yeah, restocking that. Prettifying the Enchanter's Pond. That's going to happen in a couple of episodes from now. I want to put this area together a little bit more. This bit over here, just where that block of andesite is, inspired me to make a kind of stepping stone thing leading up to the Enchanter's Door, which I think is a great idea, because that will make it a lot more accessible instead of having to hop around here, and is something aesthetic we can do to this without completely terraforming it. So wanted to do that as well. Let's see what else we've got here. Get a real house. That was the other thing. I have been living in the spruce shack for far too long, so in a future video, as long as I'm comfortable with talking and building at the same time like I've been doing today, I'm going to make myself a house in the Ramsfell area and move out of the spruce shack, and then, like I said before, we're going to remodel that into the gatehouse, is pretty much what it's going to be. And then we'll probably end up putting a wall back in at some point, but it's going to be a lot better looking than it was before, hopefully, and a little bit more functional looking as well. So that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this, and would love to hear from you in the comments. My name has been Pixlriffs. I'll see you guys around.